Dr. Anthony Nocella and Dr. Judy Bentley for their speeches. Now we open it up for questions. Anything? The opportunity to ask them. Yep.
I was wondering, because you mentioned all the campaigns that PETA's had, and obviously like sexist and ableist connotations of these. But do you think that there's any benefit to having these forms of advertisements if it only convinces people to do an ethical action for unethical reasons? Because I know for instance, one of the reasons why I tried to go vegetarian was for health purposes and not necessarily all ethical reasons. What's the like trade-off there? Do you think it's a worthwhile one anyway, or if it's like just like rejecting licenses?
Like these ads, how can they benefit?
Like, do you think that obviously they have negative like side effects, but do you think that overall like it's a net positive or a net negative? Like, how do we judge which ones like the harm versus the positive? You know what I mean?
No, I think that there's no statistics or research, quantitative research out there on this that I know of. But does it help non-human animals' liberation? It might, but it also oppresses people. And so, and PETA is not an organization that is more than single issue. And they will bluntly say that. They're for non-human animals. But if they were for non-human animals, they also have to understand that oppression is interconnected and intersectional. And so, for example, racism, if you want to create more people that are vegan, let's say, in predominantly poor neighborhoods, then make vegan food more affordable and don't allow produce deserts in the urban communities, right? And you can do that. PETA can go out and create urban gardens, which Morgan's kind of doing, right, in Buffalo. So I think if you want to eliminate poverty or at least address that, economic injustice, I think that would be one way of going about it. But I will never support these ads as a feminist. And I think feminists need to start articulating themselves as they are also ableist.
I would also say, as a former advertising executive who had another life, the way people respond to advertising, and we do have quantitative data on that, is that it's not to make you think, it's just to it's to manipulate what you think, and the ads that you think about the least are the ones that affect you the most. So I would think that those ads are quite dangerous, because they're giving you dangerous and misleading information that they don't want you to think about, they just want you to react. So as far as the quantity of how much it helps and how much it hurts, I think it's very hurtful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So not to keep up a small part of the presentation, but I do want to touch on the PETA point again. I did analyze it for a period of time, and the reason that I left was because of the way that I thought the specific organization I worked for had absolutely no understanding of race, class, or gender approaches, and I left after many long conversations with my direct supervisor about the viability of PETA ads. But I've got two questions for you. The first of which is, PETA has been critiqued for 30 years on this, right? They've been critiqued by every sort of group, racism, sexism, alleged anti-Semitism, etc. PETA hasn't changed its tactics, and if anything, they've doubled down on it because they think that this is probably a better way to get their message out. When we, as a group of people who all, I think, disdain more or less PETA, sit and talk about PETA in a room for 15 minutes and say, like, this is what PETA's doing, this is why PETA's wrong, we're still spreading PETA's message, if only like virally on the back of the page. So my two questions are, first, why should we offer a criticism of PETA if it's not going to be more effective and not going to be more salient and not going to change anything any more than the other 30 years of criticism is offered? And secondly, why are we as a community talking about PETA at all when it seems that the best response to PETA would be to bluntly ignore them and cut them out of the conversation?
I think that they're used as a case study. They're really easy to go after, but I could, name, another, I'd say half a dozen organizations that have that same lookism and ableism, which I talked about in pamphlets and things like that. So, but I would say why I'm bringing this up is that very few organizations or individuals have done a critique of PETA through an ableist lens, or not PETA that we're critiquing. It's the, you know, PETA's just a case study. They're just, you know, the easy target. But what we're really looking at is any organization, and organizations do change when a critique like this, they said, oh, we were about to do this ad. I guess we're not going to do this ad. And so it develops a consciousness of saying, wait a second, I typically go up to people and saying, you can look better, you can feel better, just go vegan, you know, people will date you more, et cetera, et cetera. And people use that line, and they're not at all involved in PETA. And so it's more of a consciousness.
I definitely agree. I still just don't see why, if, like, specifically with the question, like, regarding people, why should we keep talking about it? It seems it does more damage to the movement than it does good, and I think that, like, maybe this is just the ad finding like particular acts, but like, we should probably, cut them out of the conversation altogether. If this is what we all really believe, and we know that PETA is gaining traction through trying to get us to engage in the knee-jerk reactions that, like, you were talking about, why discuss it at all? Why discuss PETA at all? Why not offer better alternative methods to reach out instead of just engaging in criticism?
Well, PETA has a lot of money, obviously, because they spend, Autism Speaks has a lot of money. I would like to see you make little chinks in their armor anyway. I don't want to see you give up just because you don't have money for a $1 million a year ad campaign in the Super Bowl. I want you to, I would like to see it. Aren't we viral now? Aren't we going out? We're going out for free, whereas PETA goes out, spends a lot of money to do that. But I think with the power that you have with intersectionality, with different scholars venturing out of their own narrow and to talk about some of these things and these things going out worldwide, I think you have a good fighting chance to make a difference.
Any other questions for them?
So it seems like that there's sort of a move to get away from a utilitarian way of evaluating how to help people out. So like people have been like hating that saying, all right, not a huge fan as well. But like one of the ways that you came up for, why we should kill disabled babies was ranking of sentience and trying to come up with markers for how we can determine who's deserving of more moral sentience. And, I think he got it wrong, but he was just sort of following strict utilitarian guidelines. If we can't use utilitarianism to sort of determine what actions are ethically proper, what sort of guidelines do you think that, would create a better framework for us to determine how to act morally or ethically in the world?
Take it.
I think we're all dealing with that conversation. I think that for me, the rule would be to not aid in the destruction or exploitation or murder of anything, any living creature, being, element, etc., and work towards that. Don't throw a rock against the wall if you don't need to throw a rock against the wall. That rock has the right and the value and respect that that rock needs to be there. And there's organisms all around that rock and under that rock. That rock is somebody's home. And so I think that was Peter Singer's flaw, that it had a line of saying, when do we stop respecting others? And I think what we should be doing is never, ever have a line that says we should never stop respecting all life and all, everything that's on this planet. But I'm sure Norm might have a more holistic
I think
answer.
you said it well this morning about valuing all life. And I think that's the different way to look at it and to feel about it. And it's okay for academics to have feelings too. Not just academics, but academics have feelings.
Well, I think the mistake that Peter Singer makes and that other utilitarians make is, and people who are not utilitarian, certainly Bentley made it way before Singer, is that I think you cannot compare one consciousness to another. Consciousness is